Well, I think you know my name is Joe. But when I was a kid, I had a friend who liked to call me by a different name. He always called me Jose because he liked to speak Spanish. He called me Jose. That's how you say Joe in Spanish. Well, sometimes when I was a kid, I would get a bit bossy with my friend. I'd start to tell my friend, do that, do that, do that. Nobody likes to be bossed around. If I got bossy with my friend, he would look at me and he'd say this, "No way, Jose." Ooh, I know a story about someone else named Jose who's really bossy, and that's what everybody says to him. "No way, Jose." It's a story about a chicken. It's about a rooster, and the rooster was named Jose. And he called himself El Gallo Jose. The rooster Jose. El Gallo Jose. And that rooster lived on a farm. He liked to walk around the farm, bossing everybody around. And then one day, a letter came to the farm. The letter was addressed to El Gallo Jose. It was addressed to the rooster. And the letter turned out to be an invitation to go to the wedding of his tío Perico, his uncle, the parrot. His uncle, the parrot, was going to get married. And the wedding was going to be the very next day. Jose was excited. He couldn't wait to go to that wedding. That night, he did not sleep a wink. He was up early the next morning, and the first thing he did was to warm up his voice by singing. Because he thought he had a beautiful voice, and they would probably ask him to sing a song for the wedding. He straightened out all his feathers. He washed his face in a bucket of water, and then he started down the road to go to the wedding of his tío Perico. The sun came up. It was a beautiful morning, and Jose was so happy that he just had to sing. He raised his head. He started to sing. Oh! From the corner of his eye, he saw a ripe little berry dangling from a bush by the side of the road. He hadn't eaten any breakfast. The berry would taste good. But then he thought, if I eat that, I'll dirty my beak. And I'm going to the wedding of my tío Perico. So he didn't eat the berry. He walked on down the road. But again, he was so happy that he started to sing. He saw a ripe, medium-sized berry. But Jose said to himself, si me la como, me mancho el pico y voy a las bodas de mi tío Perico. That's the same thing he said last time. If I eat that, I'll dirty my beak. He just thought he said in Spanish that time. And he walked on down the road. But again he was happy. Le pegó la gana de cantar. Oh! He saw saw a great, big, fat berry, and he didn't even think. Se comió la mora. He ate that berry, and his beak was dripping with bright red juice from the berry. He couldn't go to a wedding with juice all over his face. He didn't know what to do. But then he saw the grass at the edge of the road. He thought he would go tell the grass to clean off his beak. He walked over to the edge of the road and he spoke to the grass. He called the grass zacate, because that's a Spanish word for grass. He said, zacate, zacate, límpiame el pico, que voy a las bodas de mi tío Perico. He said, grass, zacate, clean off my beak. I am going to the wedding of my Uncle Perico. But the grass didn't like to be bossed around by a chicken. It swished back and forth a couple times. And then the grass said, "No way, Jose." And Jose could hardly believe his ears. How could the grass refuse to obey him? He thought he would punish the grass. He looked around and he saw a sheep at the other side of the field. He thought he would tell the sheep to eat the grass. He called the sheep oveja, because that's a Spanish word for sheep. He said, oveja, oveja, come zacate. Zacate no quiere limpiarme el pico y voy a las bodas de mi tío Perico. The sheep didn't like to be bossed around either. The sheep looked up and the sheep said, "No way, Jose." Well, if the sheep wouldn't do what she was told to do, he thought he would talk to El Lobo, the wolf. He would tell the wolf to kill the sheep. He said, "Lobo, lobo, mata a la oveja. Oveja no quiere comer el zacate. Zacate no quiere limpiarme el pico y voy a las bodas de mi tío Perico." The wolf didn't let anybody boss him around. He looked over his shoulder and the wolf said, "No way, Jose." Whenever the big dog saw the wolf, the dog would run right out there and bite that wolf. Jose called out to El Perro, the dog. He told the dog to bite the wolf. He said, "Perro, perro, muerde al lobo. Lobo no quiere matar la oveja. Oveja no quiere comer el zacate. Zacate no quiere limpiarme el pico. Y voy a las bodas de mi tío Perico." The dog was lying in the shade. He was comfortable. He just opened up one eye. And the dog said, "No way, Jose." Well, whenever the man got really mad at the dog, the man would hit the dog. Jose called out to El Hombre, the man. He told the man to hit the dog. He said, "Hombre, hombre, pégale al perro. Perro no quiere morder al lobo. Lobo no quiere matar la oveja. Oveja no quiere comer el zacate. Zacate no quiere limpiarme el pico. Y voy a las bodas de mi tío Perico. Nothing happened. And then Jose figured out what the problem was. The man couldn't speak Spanish. But that was not a big problem for Jose. He could speak 2 languages. He could speak Spanish and English. If you can speak 2 languages, you can boss twice as many people around. All he had to do was say it again, but he said it to the man in English. He said, "Man, man, hit the dog. The dog won't bite the wolf. The wolf won't kill the sheep. The sheep won't eat the grass. The grass won't clean off my beak. And I'm going to the wedding of my Uncle Perico." The man was sitting in a chair. He leaned back and laughed. And then the man said, "No way, Jose." And the bossy little chicken named Jose didn't know who could make a man obey him. But then he remembered something. Whenever the man would go walking across the hill close to the farm, he would always go around the old graveyard that was up on the hill. The man would never walk right through the cemetery because that man was afraid of ghosts. Jose called out to los muertos, the dead people in the cemetery. He told them to scare the man. He said, "Muertos, muertos, espanten al hombre. Hombre no quiere pegar al perro. Perro no quiere morder al lobo. Lobo no quiere matar tal oveja. Oveja no quiere comer el zacate. Zacate no quiere limpiarme el pico. Y voy a las bodas de mi tío Perico." And all the ghosts in the old graveyard said, The man's eyes got as big as tortillas. He grabbed a stick and ran after that dog, and the dog ran away. Woo, woo, woo. He bit the wolf right on his como se llama, and the wolf jumped on top of the sheep with all 4 feet, and the sheep started to eat the grass as fast as she could. And the grass went swoosh, 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 and it cleaned off Jose's beak, and he went to the wedding of his tío Perico. But when he asked them if they would like him to sing a song for the wedding guests all plugged their ears. And you know what they said to him? "No